IRS whistleblower Gary Shapley's attorney, Mark Lytle, joins me once again now. Mark, good to have you with us. What's your overall reaction to all of this that came out over the weekend? Pretty big stuff.
Thanks, Martha. Thanks for having me on today. My overall reaction with all of this information that's come out from the Politico and New York Times articles are that David Weiss has to go. He cannot be the special counsel in this case. Every day there's new revelations about Mr. Weiss and the way he's handled this case. It's come out now that he first thought there should be no charges in this case. Then he reacted when the whistleblowers came out and came up with this special deal, the 2 misdemeanors with no jail time. And then we hear threats. There are documents that show the defense team were threatening to put President Biden on the stand. And to say that's a threat, it really shows that, what is that going to accomplish? The head of the executive branch would be testifying in a trial against the Department of Justice. It means Weiss has to go, and a special counsel from outside the government, outside the Department of Justice, has to be put in here to handle the case.
Yeah, I thought it was stunning, the point that you just made, that David Weiss, we now have learned, according to this information, that he never had any intention to bring any charges in this case, not the gun charges, not the tax charges. He was going to let this thing go away until your client, Gary Shapley, who we're going to talk to tomorrow in this program, until he and his colleague actually came forward. So that just, it says a lot, doesn't it? That when somebody came forward and told the truth, then the prosecutor decided that they would say, oh, yes, this is an ongoing investigation, and put it all into high gear?
Yeah, Martha, the whistleblowers have been right all along. They've been tested. They've produced documents. They've been corroborated. The Department of Justice hasn't produced any information, but now, through what the defense has given to the media, actually, we're getting a good look into what was going on between these plea negotiations. And the fact that this has never been told before, but apparently Chris Clark, Hunter Biden's attorney, went over Weiss's head to appeal Weiss, and he got a meeting at the Deputy Attorney General's office on April 26th of this year, just 1 week after my letter to select committees on Congress revealed that there was a whistleblower ready to come forward. All of these facts show Weiss is not the person who should be able to give the American public the confidence that this matter is getting looked into thoroughly and properly.
Yeah. And, you point out that he went over his head, that Chris Clark went over his head, which really just tells me, looking at that he knew that he had leverage because of who his client was. He knew that he could push this system around. And all along, we've been hearing from the White House that it was completely hands-off and that nobody was interfering with this investigation. How should we believe that at this point?
Yeah, there's no way to know it, and there's no way to believe it, because there's no shining light, there's no truth, there's no openness here about what was happening. And I'd add that what came out also in these documents is that Leslie Wolf, the chief obstructionist to the agent's investigative steps that they wanted to take, that would lead to Joe Biden or other folks, she stopped those things. And she's the one who is, it turns out, is the architect of the plea that came out. And then they took her back, even though the plea she negotiated, they took her off the pleadings and they brought new attorneys on, which gave the American public the perception that there were new eyes on this.
So true.
But it wasn't. It was her eyes. It was her plea.
And what I find remarkable, and I'm going to talk to Gary Shapley about this tomorrow, is that no one has said that they're not telling the truth. In fact, once they spoke, then that's when everybody started to scramble and cover, and cover their you-know-what, because they had to get behind that story. But they never said these people aren't telling the truth, right?
It's going to come out that what Gary Shapley and Joe Ziegler have said, that the prosecutor, that Weiss went to D.C., went to L.A., and was turned down. That's going to come out. Yeah. Eventually, it's going to come out, and it's going to prove even more that the whistleblowers were right on this. But the fact that he got appointed special counsel necessarily means that D.C. and L.A. turned him down, which contradicts what he told Congress. And so there's all kinds of problems with Weiss. He needs to step down.
Okay.